All right, let's dive into the most complex, sophisticated, and honestly, powerful object in the entire known universe. And the wildest part about all of this, you're actually using it right now. So, what is this incredible thing we're talking about? You might be thinking, maybe it's some distant star or a black hole, right? Or maybe something super high tech that scientists are building in a secret lab somewhere. Nope, not even close. It's that 3-pound universe sitting right inside your own skull. I mean, think about it. You're using it this very second to process my voice and make sense of these words. Of course, I'm talking about the human brain. So let's get into it. Okay, first things first, let's just get a feel for the physical object itself. What is this thing actually made of? And why on earth does it look the way it does? Get this. The average adult human brain weighs just about 3 pounds. That's it. It's not huge, but it is incredibly dense, just packed with matter and energy. But here's what's really remarkable. It's all about the size relative to our bodies. See, for a primate our size, our brain is absolutely enormous. We're talking a full 3 times larger than the brain of a chimpanzee, and they're our closest living relatives. Okay, so you've probably seen a picture of a brain, right? And you've noticed it kind of looks like a giant shriveled up walnut. So what's the deal with all those wrinkles? Well, believe it or not, those wrinkles aren't random at all. They actually have names. The folds are called gyri, and the grooves between them are sulci. And this super intricate folding is exactly what gives the brain its signature look and, more importantly, its incredible power. Here's a cool way to think about it. As your brain develops, that outer layer, the cortex, is expanding like crazy inside the fixed space of your skull. So what happens? It's kind of like two tectonic plates crashing into each other. The pressure forces the surface to buckle and fold in on itself. And this is just a brilliant example of how structure creates function, because all those folds massively increase the brain's surface area, which means more room to pack in neurons and, you guessed it, a ton more processing power. All right, so that's the outside. Now let's take a look at how this amazing organ is actually organized on the inside. Okay, here's a really simple way to picture the brain's basic layout. Just put your 2 fists together and place them on top of your wrist. Go ahead, you can do it right now. Your 2 fists, that's kind of like the cerebrum. It's the biggest part, and it handles all the high-level stuff like thinking and memory. And your wrist, that's the brainstem. It manages all the basic automatic functions that keep you alive. Breathing, your heartbeat, all that. Then, tucked away at the back, there's this structure that honestly looks a little bit like a piece of cauliflower. That's the cerebellum. And this little guy is your body's coordination and balance center. So every single time you ride a bike, play an instrument, or even just walk in a straight line without falling over, you have your cerebellum to thank for that. So just to recap, these 3 parts are working together seamlessly all the time. You've got the cerebrum for all that higher thought, the cerebellum keeping your movements coordinated, and the brainstem just humming along, taking care of your basic survival. Okay, so now let's zoom in on that biggest part we talked about, the cerebrum, and really explore its specialized regions. We're talking about the 4 lobes. Right up at the front, you've got the frontal lobe. Think of this as your brain's personal CEO. It's in charge of all the big picture stuff, planning, setting goals, controlling your impulses, even your sense of self-awareness. I mean, this is the part of the brain that let humanity dream up and then actually plan a trip to the moon. Pretty important stuff. Okay, moving back from there, you hit the parietal lobe. This is basically your body's main sensor. It's constantly processing touch, temperature, and pain from all over. It's the reason you instantly know you're touching something hot, way before your eyes even register it. And the other 2 lobes, they're just as specialized. All the way at the very back of your head is the occipital lobe. That's your personal visual processing center. Everything you see is being handled back there. And then right here on the sides above your ears are the temporal lobes. They handle hearing and language for sure, but they're also absolutely crucial for forming and recalling memories. And this is where things get really, really interesting. That sensory map in your brain, it's not proportional to your actual body at all. Instead, it dedicates way more space to areas with more nerve endings. Think about your hands and your lips. This creates this really bizarre, distorted map of your body and your brain. It's known as a homunculus, which is Latin for little man, and it basically looks like a person with gigantic hands and lips. It's a wild way to visualize how your brain sees your body. So we've looked at the big picture, the main structures. But now let's zoom way down, all the way to the cellular level, to see how all this information actually travels through the brain. So your brain is made up of these amazing nerve cells called neurons. And you might want to sit down for this. It contains a staggering 86 billion of them. To put that in perspective, that is more than 10 times the number of people on the entire planet, all packed inside your head. And how do all these neurons talk to each other? Well, it's like this incredible electrochemical dance. An electrical signal zips down one neuron, and when it reaches the end, it triggers the release of chemical messengers. These messengers float across a teeny tiny gap, that's called a synapse, and then they trigger a new electrical signal in the next neuron in the chain. And this whole process, it happens billions and billions of times every single second. Okay, for our last section, let's talk about two really important things: how this absolutely vital organ is protected, and, maybe most importantly, how it can physically change throughout our lives. Now, your brain is obviously super delicate, so it's incredibly well protected. It's like it has 3 layers of security. First, you've got the hard, bony cranium of your skull. Then, inside that are 3 protective membranes called the meninges. And finally, the brain itself is actually floating in this liquid cushion, the cerebrospinal fluid, which protects it from bumps and shocks. But maybe the single most incredible thing about the brain is that it's not static. It's not a fixed object. It can literally change and rewire itself based on your experiences. This superpower is called plasticity. And here's a really powerful example of it in action: the phantom limb phenomenon. So when a person loses a hand, that part of the brain map that was dedicated to the hand, well, it doesn't just go silent. Instead, it can get rewired. It starts responding to signals from the neighboring area on the map, which, it just so happens, is the face. So for some people, touching their face can actually create the distinct sensation of someone touching their missing fingers. It's just an amazing testament to how adaptable the brain is. And this ability to adapt, this plasticity, it means you aren't stuck with the brain you were born with. Not at all. You are constantly, every single day, shaping it and reshaping it through your thoughts, your actions, and everything you choose to learn. So that leaves just one big question, right? If your brain is constantly adapting, what are you going to teach it next?